There are two real estate markets happening right now in St. Pete. One is unmotivated sellers living in the past, and two, motivated sellers who've adjusted to reality. And most buyers, unfortunately, end up shopping in the wrong one. So don't be one of them. We've got a lot of sellers who are living like it's still 2021 pricing. Interest rates are 3%. Multiple offers are the norm, and repair requests can be rejected. Post-inspection repair requests during that hot period post-pandemic where people were asking for a new water heater or a roof repair or whatever were almost always getting rejected because there was another buyer behind them. Buyers who have adjusted to the present know that, or to the present, excuse me, know it's a buyer's market. They understand that interest rates have hurt prices, they've hurt budgets, and that price cuts are inevitable. Frequent price cuts to find a market is the way to do things, and that they are going to have to be flexible on repairs and concessions in order to get deals done. That's just the way it is. That's where you should be shopping right now. So today I'm going to show you two really, really cool listings that have had huge price drops. And remember, we're going to run everything through the BuyWise app because the goal here is simple. Find the most motivated seller for a house that you want, that you possibly can, so that you can leverage, I don't want to say seller's desperation, but seller's motivation into a better price, into some concessions. That is how to buy a house right now. So let's just jump into the first house here. And this one is in the North Kenwood neighborhood. So this is a really, really good location. I would say it's up and coming, but it's well past the up and coming stage. It's not quite as sort of high end as the historic Kenwood part. You don't have the density of bungalows there, but it is adjacent to that, and you're seeing a lot more interest over the last couple of years to this area. So let's just jump right into it. If you don't know where it is, let me just show you real quick because a lot of people get a little bit confused on the North Kenwood location. Here's downtown. This is historic Kenwood, which is right off of Central Ave. So you're still in the downtown corridor. And this particular house is on the east side of 34th Street, which probably is a little bit better than being on this side. This is sort of the hard dividing line between downtown and the rest of St. Pete. So here's historic Kenwood, Euclid St. Paul, Crescent Heights, downtown, historic Kenwood, Old Northeast is over here. So these are all the sort of neighborhoods that you hear about, that you want to be in St. Pete. So it's a really good location. And then let's see, how long has this house been on the market? Because we want to always look for motivated sellers. That is absolutely critical. This house has been on the market 144 days. We like to see that. That's almost 5 months, so 60 days plus. We want to see plenty of price action. So how many price drops have we had here? You can see a lot of stuff going on here, and this is what I like to see. I like to see a lot of price drops because it tells me that a seller is being responsive. They're inching their way towards something. So even if you see just a $5,000 price drop, if you see a $100 price drop, that's somebody it's a agent honestly just trying to game Zillow or the real estate portals by getting a bump up, because a price drop usually gets bumped up in your search. But these are legitimate price drops here. So we went on the market back in February, and we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It went pending 8. So we've had 9 price drops. So let's just punch that in there, and we'll come back to this. So obviously 3 or more price drops. The total size of the price drop, we started at $635. We're down to $519. So that's $115,000. So well more than $50,000. The last price drop was just a few days ago here on July 18th, so less than 30 days. This is all pointing towards a motivated seller. Was the house ever pending? And the sale fell through and went back on the market. Why is that important? Usually, or oftentimes, it gives a little bit of a boost in confidence to the seller that somebody after 4 months finally made an offer at a lower price. And then when it goes back on the market, it often, not always, but it will often go back on the market close to the price that the person offered. And in this case, it went pending at $539. They put it back on the market for a couple of weeks, back at $539, went down to $529. I would bet that that was probably what the offer was before it fell through. And then nobody else came along, and now they're down 20 grand from their last, from when it was pending. I mean, this is setting up to be like a really good possibility here. So it did go pending and went back on the market. And we'll see if we can get any of the system stuff. We like to see homes where sellers have added some upgrades or replaced a roof. This one is a newer roof and a newer AC. We won't look into the age, but we'll say newer usually means 0 to 5 years. So age of roof, age of AC. And then we also want to see any seller motivation phrases in the description. What do I mean by that? Seller motivated, closing costs paid, new roof or new something with an acceptable offer, bring all offers. And on this particular one, I mean, right in that first sentence, seller to contribute $10,000 towards buyer's closing costs or interest rate buy down. I don't think we've gotten to 100 on any of the BuyWise houses that we've done. We've only been doing it a few weeks, but we've certainly got that. Any seller motivation phrases, that's a definite yes. Does the house fit in with the neighborhood? This house looks like this was, I think, a flip. So let's take a quick look at the street view. I know this area pretty well. I'm not sure about the street, but what you see is a lot of bungalows that have been, or not bungalows, more cottage style that have been renovated. So this looks like, I want to say this is probably 9th out here. So this is a little bit busier street, although it's not terrible. Yeah, this is 9th Avenue. And then going up to, that's 34th Street. So that's a pretty busy intersection there. So just looking at the houses around it, I'm going to say, without question, it does fit in with the area. And then going back to the main picture, we know, well, is the house in a high-risk flood zone? I don't know anything in North Kenwood is in a high-risk flood zone, but let's double check. This is homes.com that I use, and they make it very easy to find. Flood zone X. X or X500 is good. A or AE is bad. That would require you to get flood insurance if you had a mortgage. So this is a definite no. We have one more question. What were our first impressions of the listing? I would say this listing is, it's pretty good. It looks, you could tell this is with the fresh wood out here, that looks like a recent renovation. It's a little shadowy. Is this going to make you stop your scroll? I would say if you're looking for a 3.2 in this area at around this price point, you're going to probably stop and take a look at this one. So I'm going to say it's a definite scroll stopper. The cover photo, the main photo is good. And there we go. This is a 94, which I think is the highest score that we've seen. If you're looking for a house, a 3.2 around 13 something square feet in this neighborhood, not flood zone with that budget, this is a definite go see. This thing is screaming at us that the seller is motivated. They're telling us right up front, they're going to throw some money at you. They've had a ton of price drops. Let's just run through the pictures real quick to see what the deal is here. And looks like fresh outside. They redid the carport. I mean, this looks like St. Augustine. That is pretty new. A couple of new palm trees. You always like to see, especially with flippers, to put a little bit of budget into the front yard. That makes a lot of difference, I think. And you can tell that roof is brand new. So this is very nicely styled with this. I mean, I like these accent walls. I don't know if they'll go out of style at some point, but everything's nice and neutral. Gorgeous sort of shaker style cabinets and solid surface, stainless, some extra touches in there. A nice big island. I mean, they spent a good chunk of money on this house. There's no doubt about it. Let's see how these bedrooms are set up. So those look like new windows to me as well. I mean, I'm not seeing anything. Beautiful tile work in the bathroom. I mean, drop a comment. Let me know if there's anything in here you don't like. I'm hearing some comments recently about the sort of gray is starting to go out of style a little bit. I think for a flip, it's a good color to use. I think it frames everything. It makes the white trim look really nice. They put some can lights in here. So this is not like a cheap flip here. It looks like they did a lot of work, a lot of attention to detail here. Floors look beautiful. I'm not really seeing anything that I don't like. And 3 decent sized bedrooms. It's 1,300 something square feet, so you're not going to have huge bedrooms, obviously. And you can see you're 10 minutes to downtown. And obviously the budget probably ran out here on the backyard because there's nothing really there. You could clean that up. I mean, certainly the idea here would be to put a nice big deck back here, or maybe a pergola, trim some of this up. So it doesn't look like they did anything in the backyard, but that's okay. So drop a comment. Let me know what you think about this one. This is a house that had a $161,000 price drop down to $519 in the North Kenwood neighborhood. I'm going to argue, honestly, that at $382 a square foot in this market, we're still a little bit on the high side. So I'm thinking this one I'm loving at $485. I know that's still 15 and 15. It's still 34,000 away from where we are here. That's a substantial amount. But I've seen newer houses, like literally newer construction, go for a little bit less than that. So I think we might still be a little bit on the high side, but we've got a super motivated seller here. Drop a comment. Let me know what you think. I like this house. No garage, just a carport. But overall, love the house. Let me know what you think. And all right, let's take a look at house number 2 here. This one is in the greater Pinellas Point neighborhood. And let's just take a look at where this is. It's on the southern end of St. Pete. And there is some flood zone action down there. I will double check on this one. I don't think this house is in it. Let me go back out all the way so you can get a feel. So the reason that I'm seeing a lot more interest in the Pinellas Point area is because the house prices are not bad down here. Obviously, you're not going to get anything along the water at this price point. Shoot over to 275, you're downtown, 15, 18 minutes, or you go surface streets, 4th Street right into downtown, 15 minutes, piece of cake. And there's rarely any traffic this way. And then if you're a beach person, you get on the interstate, go right over, and to my favorite beach, Pass a Grill in St. Pete Beach, 10 or 15 minutes. So location, you can't beat it. How long has this house been on the market? That's what we want to start with. And we're 34 days on the market. So we're past that 30-day mark, which is what we like to see. We like to see sellers feeling a little pressure to start responding to the market. Let's see how many price drops they've had. That's not a lot of time. And so this is a flip. It got sold in March for $330, and now it's back on the market. Took them about 3 months to do the flip. So they've had 2 price drops from $575, $45, so 25 grand in price drops, which isn't bad. So we've had 2 price drops, total of 25,000, and the last price drop was just a couple of days ago. So we're good there. Was the house pending and the sale fell back through? The sale fell through. No, we know that. And then what is the age of the roof? I think this is a top to bottom reno. Let's see if they make it clear here. Brand new roof and AC, so that's good. 0 to 5 years on the roof and AC. So you shouldn't have any insurance issues there. Remember, you have to get a 4-point. All those things have to be satisfactory in order to get insurance. Any seller motivated phrases in the description? Not really. This is an unusually short description, only 4 lines long, that basically highlights that it is a total renovation, 2-car move-in ready, so nothing there. And then finally, does the house fit in with the neighborhood? Let's take a quick look. There's a lot of these sort of 3-2s with the garage out front. Is a fairly standard design for the Pinellas Point area. And you can see what this house looked like before, which was not great. I think this one's on a cul-de-sac too, so you don't really have any neighbors next to you, which is kind of nice. A little bit private there. House across the street is a little bit smaller, but the street looks pretty clean, and it is a pretty standard house for the neighborhood. So we'll say yes. I mean, it might be a little bit nicer, and is this house in a flood zone? I don't believe that part of Pinellas Point is in a flood zone, and we'll just double check that. Flood zone X. So we're good there. And then finally, what are our first impressions of this listing? And remember, when I say first impressions, if you're scrolling on your phone, this is the first picture you're going to see along with the price and the price drop. Is that going to get you to stop? I would argue yes. If your filters are set for a 3.2, this is right in the meat of the market. 1,600 square foot 3.2, under 550 in a good neighborhood with a price drop. I would say, yeah, that's gonna get a lot of people to stop and look. So I'm gonna say definite scroll stopper. And let's see what we get on our score, 69 here. So this would fall into the lower priority, but right on the edge of the go see it, a motivated seller. And really the only things that I think are really hurting it a little bit, it's only been on the market 34 days, only had a couple of price drops. The house is really nice. It shows well. I would be surprised if they're not getting a fair number of showings and they're inching their way towards the correct price. So if you're looking for a 3.2, 1,600 square feet, I would not be messing around on this one. I bet it's going to go sooner than later. I mean, the grass needs to be cut, but the inside, well designed, beautifully staged. It doesn't look like they cut any corners here. I mean, this is an unusual sort of vertical tile backsplash, which looks really nice, and some really nice appliances. No microwave. I mean, it's a narrow kind of galley style kitchen, but you do have, some stools out there. Good size primary suite. I mean, they did some extra stuff in here, and it looks really nice. Big walk-in closet, separate dining area. I mean, even the light fixtures and ceiling fans look to be high end. I mean, kudos to the flipper here. They did a really, really nice job. This is probably the old Florida room and a pergola out back. I'm not a big fan of these. I mean, I don't see what the point is unless you have something covering this that's barely offering any shade, but that's okay. And it looks like they did add some new sod back here, and it just died on them. We have had kind of a dry summer, so that leads me to believe there's probably no sprinkler system in this house, but a nice big paver back porch there. So drop a comment, let me know what you think. I like this house. I think that I would be very careful if you're looking for a 3.2, 1,600 square feet around this price range of waiting too long, because $325 for a fully renovated top to bottom with everything new in a non-flood zone is pretty good. I think there might be a little room here, but I'll tell you, I would probably be at $525 or maybe even $529 on this house. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you think. My name is Steve Reynolds. I'm a realtor here in St. Petersburg, Florida. If you're thinking about buying or selling, shoot me a text, give me a call, send me an email. I'd love to help you out. So I'll just remind you to look for the motivation signals from sellers. And by that, I mean, look for houses that have been 60 days or more on the market. Sellers start getting pretty antsy around that time. Look for houses that have had a couple of price drops. That's a good sign that a seller and their listing agent are adjusting to the reality. That's what you want to see. Look for listing description clues. When somebody offers $5,000 or $10,000 in closing costs concessions, that's telling you that they want to talk to you. They want you to come to see the house and make an offer. That is a motivation clue. And then also, finally, look for the pending and back on the market. That's a big one as well. Usually what happens to a seller's psychology is when they were under contract, it lasted a couple weeks, maybe it was financing or maybe it was an inspection issue. And if they repaired that inspection issue, they do that, they get it back on the market, they are ready to go with another offer, are probably around that price or a little bit less. So drop a comment, let me know what you think about these houses. Again, my name is Steve Reynolds. If you are thinking about buying or selling here in the St. Pete area, and you see a house you like, run it through BuyWise.homes. Take you 30 seconds. You don't even have to register. Subscribe to the channel so you can be a smarter home buyer. And if you're ready to talk, just schedule a 15-minute session and we'll map out a plan so you can get a great house at a great price in this buyer's market. So with that, I will see you next time.